Spring is already here, so that means it's time for another everyday carry update. I like to do these seasonally to kind of showcase and highlight some of the changes and updates I've made to my carry in between, covering and reviewing all of the different gear for the other videos. A few really exciting pieces I'm looking forward to diving into and sharing. So without any further ado, let's get into it with the first item. Starting with the pocket knife, I've got the Civivi Chevalier 2. Civivi is one of my longtime favorite brands, especially if you're on a budget. They just destroy that under $100 market. You have 8 inches in total length with a 3.5 inch sheep's foot blade. It's 14C28N steel. I've had a handful of knives with this steel. I've had no complaints with it. You have a satin finish on both the blade as well as the scales. These are aluminum scales that they use, but they almost feel like titanium because this thing is really light for the size. It's just a little bit over 3 ounces. I think it comes out to like 3.2 ounces, but this thing feels really light. I think it's just because of the larger size. I carry a lot of 3-inch blades, so the 3.5 inch here is just making it feel a lot bigger, but you don't really have that extra weight from the larger knife size. It has that classic Civivi flipper opening, which is probably my favorite part of these knives. Just super satisfying and nice and fidgety. You have a good button lock closure here. I've had the Elementum button lock as well. It's really solid on this, definitely not sticky or any problems or anything like that. On the flip side, you have a stainless steel pocket clip. Overall, just really good quality. I've come to expect really good things from Civivi at this point. I do really like this kind of satiny orange on the scales. I thought it was fun. That was the main reason why I wanted to pick it up. I also don't think I have any other sheep's foot blades, so I thought that would be a fun addition to the collection. The fit and finish is really nice though. This one does not disappoint. If you're looking for something a little bit different from the more popular Elementum, I think this would be a great pickup for you. Next up, I wanted to cover my watch. A few of you have already seen and commented on this in a few of my more recent videos. I just recently got it. This is the VAER D5 Tropic. I talk a lot about my love of digital Casios around here, and I do absolutely still love them. But since I got my first automatic watch last year, it was that Benrus Field Watch. Really great pickup, by the way. I've kind of had the itch to expand out into a few more automatic and a few more traditional watches, outside of my cheap and fun Casios. Seems to be a bit of a hot take in the watch community, apparently, but I find most traditional dive watch styles just to be a little bit stuffy and boring. And this is absolutely not that at all. I love the design of this watch face with the cream and the black. It uses a Japanese Miyota 9015 automatic movement, has a 42-hour power reserve. I don't know a lot about automatic movements, but apparently that is a pretty good one based on my research. They have 39mm and 42mm versions available. I went with the 39 because I have pretty slender wrists at right around 6.5 and 6 3/4 inches. I think it fits my wrist size really well. It is just such a striking design and watch. You have the cream and black combo I mentioned that I really love, and you have one little date complication on the bottom. One really fun touch, every 4th day the date complication turns red. I think it just adds a nice little pop of color there. These are actually assembled in the United States, which is really cool to see. They have a few offerings that aren't, and they have a few that are. This one in particular is. I love to see that sort of thing. It's kind of a similar story as Shinola. I'm a Detroit native and have always loved the Shinola watches. I know they're a little overpriced, and I know their made in America claims were questionable in the past. This kind of seems to be a better version of what they were trying to do with Shinola. The aesthetics are there. I think this thing is absolutely gorgeous, but it is also pretty functional as well. You have sapphire dome glass on the top and as well on the back of the movement there. I love having these exposed movements just to see the inner workings of everything. So you have sapphire on both sides, which is great. You have 20 atmospheres or 200 meters for water resistance. And one of VAER's big things is that they guarantee their waterproofness. So you have a 2-year, guaranteed waterproof warranty with all of these, which is a nice touch because waterproofing doesn't always mean the literal numbers that it advertises. They have quite a few different strap options. I've been using the lined Horween leather strap here. Horween leathers from Chicago. These are actually handmade in the USA as well, which was a nice little touch. The leather strap is gorgeous and super comfortable. I've also been using, they have a steel premium strap as well. I got one of each to kind of test. I've been going back and forth between the two, but would probably pick the Horween if I was only getting one. I almost forgot to mention the loom. This has a really cool loom pattern, but it's not a super strong and long-lasting loom. I've seen some pretty extensive tests from people that are a little more educated than me on watches. It fades pretty quick compared to a lot of others, but it is beautiful when the loom is lit up. Just really cool design, really striking watch, assembled in the USA. The price is pretty reasonable. I think this starts at $599 for a really good, made in America automatic watch. I think the value is definitely there if you're in the market for something like this, but truly beautiful. I also got the VAER R5, which is a really cool kind of like 70s racing type of style. I'll be talking about that at some point, but this was the main, premier one I wanted to talk about for today. More to come on the others soon. For my flashlight, I've got the Wuben X2. You all might have seen this a while back. Not too long ago, I did my unique EDC gear series. I covered this pretty extensively there, but I've been carrying it in my own daily since then and have just really grown to love it. You have a full copper exterior. This thing is really heavy because of that. It comes in at 240 grams. The other X2 versions, they have some lighter weight ones with other materials if you want to lighten up the load a bit and aren't into the copper. But yeah, really, really heavy and weighty. This thing just feels like a brick of metal. You have 1800 lumens of peak brightness with the copper version. They have some others that get up to 2500 lumens. 1800 is plenty bright for my needs. It uses 3 Samsung LH35 1D bulbs. You have up to 80 hours of charge on the low setting. It's USB rechargeable. One of my favorite things about this series is the way that you recharge it. Behind the switch at the front here, you have the USB-C port. It's also water resistant as well. I never know how they're able to get water resistance with an exposed USB-C port like this. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's held up really well so far, and I think it's just a clever design. The switch and the operation is really simple and intuitive and easy. I just love the way this thing feels with a full metal switch. And you do have a clip on the opposite side here, but it is an extremely stiff clip. It's usually in my sling bag, so I'm not using the pocket clip myself. It's loosened up a bit since I got it when it was new, but definitely very stiff. Otherwise though, really great light. I love the copper. This thing is super bright, feels like a giant brick of metal. Build quality is excellent, no complaints at all. Really quick before we get into the next item, I want to thank Anker SOLIX for sponsoring this week's video and tell you a little bit about the SOLIX F2000 power station. I've been using this thing since last summer or fall and absolutely love it. I'm so glad so many of you enjoyed last month's camping video where we kind of stress tested this thing. I had actually planned another camping video for today, but unfortunately had to cancel or reschedule due to the weather, so I should be getting out there more. I heard all of your comments and I'm so excited to be doing some more out of the studio stuff this year. This thing is an absolute monster though. Really quick rundown of some of the specs. The main unit here, the F2000, has 2048 watt hours of capacity, and that is expandable up to 4096 watt hours with the BP2000 extension battery here. You have 12 ports in total to use on the unit. You have 4 AC ports, 3 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, 2 12-volt car sockets, and 1 TT30 RV port. So even if you're not a car camper like me, you can plug this in and power your RV with it, which is absolutely crazy and opens up so many great possibilities for campers that use RVs. You have 2400 watts of AC output with a 3600 watt surge. So that'll cover just about anything that you want to plug into it. This is more than a lot of home circuits, at least here in the USA. Charging speed is equally impressive. With the AC port, you can get up to 1440 watts, which will get you to 80% in 1 hour. Aside from the ports, you have a ton of other really great external features here. You have a 3-level ambient light built in on the top. Really nice if you have a power outage, but also really nice for camping. I had this set up inside my tent last month, and just adding that ambient light makes a huge difference. You have a really bright and large display screen on the front that works really well. Even in sunny conditions, it's still readable. You can adjust the brightness with the app as well. You have pretty large and substantial wheels. They're just under 5 inches in diameter. They have a little bit of a tread pattern on there. Works really great in grass and uneven surfaces and everything like that. But the main portability feature here, you have an easy tow handle, they call it, almost like a luggage handle that pops out of the top, so you can wheel it around really easily. Take it from your car to your campsite to your tent. Makes moving this thing around much, much easier. Like I said at the top top. I've been using this for the better part of a year already. The possibilities are really endless with it. For power outages and emergency situations, it's really nice. I've done some stress tests for power outages when I had power, but I did actually have a proper power outage over the winter. We had a really bad ice storm here, and I had a due date on a video I was working on. I was able to plug my desk into this entirely and still use all of my peripherals and everything like I would any other day, and just go about my working day like nothing happened. Power ended up coming back on relatively fast, but just having that peace of mind is really nice. Being able to run your refrigerator so your food doesn't spoil, being able to plug in your computer so you can get your work done and not get in trouble with your boss or, deadlines or anything like that. And outside of the emergency type of situations like that, for camping, this thing is absolutely incredible. Like I mentioned, if you do use an RV, the TT30 port on here, you can plug it in directly. So if you want to do some more wild camping instead of staying in those, boring cement, RV parks, you can go disperse camp, most places in the country, at least here in America. It's cheaper compared to electric hookups, and it gives you a lot better views and a lot better campsites with a lot less crowded people around making noise and disturbing the peace of nature. It's rated for 3,000 charge cycles. It uses EV grade batteries. You have a 5-year warranty with this as well. Build quality on the exterior and all of the materials is absolutely excellent. Again, be sure to check the link in the description down below. We're running some really great sales right now. $600 off the F2000, up to $1,500 off, depending on what you want to get with the SOLIX lineup. So be sure to check that out. Huge thanks again to Anker SOLIX for sponsoring this week's video. Next up, I've got my update of the Ultrahuman Ring Air. I talked about this in my last update after, a month or two of use, and was really happy with it. And there's been a couple of hiccups, but I've still generally been really enjoying it and I've been really pleased. It's been really fun to be able to track my heart rate variability, temperature, my steps, workouts, all of that sort of stuff in just a tiny little ring. Anyone with a keen eye though might notice I have a different color here. And that is because I actually did have to get a replacement ring because something happened with my old one. Probably around a month ago, I had an issue where I wasn't able to get the ring to connect to the app on my phone. I actually went through just their regular customer service. They have an in-app customer service chat that was really speedy and convenient. They were very helpful. A couple of days of troubleshooting and trying different things. They determined that a replacement would be the best option for me. No tech product is 100% perfect all of the time. How they handle issues is far more important in my eyes, at least. So they handled it really well, got me out a replacement ring. I ended up going with the space silver color instead of the matte gray because this was kind of the one I wanted originally, but didn't want to wait for it. Other than the replacement hiccup though, I've been very impressed with it. I love having the sleep tracking, and honestly the ring breaking made me realize how much I've gotten used to having all of that data. Battery life has also slightly improved with me for the updated replacement ring. I keep my little charger on the bathroom counter and just pop it on when I'm showering, and that way it just kind of trickle charges throughout the week. With my shower charging technique, I've actually been getting about a week's worth of use before I need to properly take it out and charge it fully. I try and keep it in the 30 to 80% range that they recommend as well, just to optimize the battery life. One thing that has come up though that didn't come up the first time around is offline usage. I tried to use this when I was camping without service, and it wouldn't let me see the data or connect to my phone or any of that when I didn't have proper cell service or Wi-Fi. Very frustrating because I spend a lot of time out of service, camping and backpacking and all of that sort of thing. I did see though on their subreddit, they have a very active subreddit both for the users, but they're also in there answering questions constantly. Love to see that sort of thing. But they have stated in there that they're working on offline mode, so it'll be able to work and connect and you'll be able to see the data without service. Apparently that's in the works. They've updated the app, a handful of times in the several months of using it, and it's already remarkably improved compared to when I first started. So they seem to be really on top of that sort of thing. Really nice to see. On a related note to the ring, Ultrahuman actually just released the Ultrahuman M1, which is a live glucose monitoring device. They contacted me and asked if I wanted to try it out, and I've done very little research about what it was or what it does or the specific details of it. I am currently wearing a live glucose monitor in my arm right now. So this was a really interesting thing as someone that's not a diabetic. This is actually a needle that goes into your arm with a little disc, and then you put a patch over the top of it. And that actually allows you to live track your glucose. I think this is a pretty common device for diabetics, but I've never had this much access to my blood glucose levels, and I find it extremely fascinating. I would have loved for this back when I was losing weight years ago, but regardless, it might not be the most informative type of thing as it would be for some people because I really have my diet dialed in right now, but it is definitely reassuring that the things that I learned over the years are effective in this context. Overall, it has been a really fascinating and fun experiment for me, but I do have some mixed thoughts about the M1 kind of as a whole. It uses a device called the Freestyle Libre 3, and what you have to do is download the Freestyle Libre 3 app and use that as you would like a diabetic. And then the Ultrahuman app connects to the Freestyle app. So Ultrahuman's not able to connect to the device directly. It has to relay through the app. And that has led to a few unfortunate type of things. First off, the least annoying, there's about a 20-minute delay for the Ultrahuman data to come through from the app. Having that delay is a little annoying, but definitely not a deal breaker. But I did have an issue with the Freestyle app itself. They have low glycemic warnings that'll go off with alarms. You're not able to turn these off or change them at all, and they will report falsely sometimes and wake you up in the middle of the night. So the first couple of nights of using this, I was getting woken up for like emergency glucose warnings. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but my glucose dipped down to like 67 or something, and it set off all of these alarms and woke me up in the middle of the night. I tried the next morning to turn the alarm app down, and it wouldn't let me, apparently because it's a medical device. They're not able to shut that off. So what I've had to do every night since is put my phone in Do Not Disturb and disconnect my Bluetooth so I can sleep soundly throughout the night. It's kind of ironic the first couple of nights of using this. A lot of these health tracking things are to improve your sleep quality, and I was getting woken up in the middle of the night repeatedly from alarms, disrupting my sleep quality and disrupting my health for that day. So once I kind of figured out my Do Not Disturb Bluetooth hack, I haven't had any issues with it, obviously, because it can't bother me. That being said, it was very frustrating to have to get woken up and then have to discover a workaround for that on my own. I wish the device could connect directly to the app, and because of that, I kind of feel like I've been using the Freestyle app more than the Ultrahuman app for the monitoring because it's live and it's direct. So it kind of feels redundant, like I'm not exactly sure what role they're playing in the device itself. Not really sure how this is working out in the edit. I feel like I've been rambling a lot, and this sounds a lot more negative than I mean it to, but there were just a few, weird pain points that I didn't really expect. All of that frustrating and annoying type of stuff aside, though, I really love having the data. It's been really great to see how the different foods affect my blood sugar spikes. Very fascinating and a great way to kind of find alternatives to foods that you might like that will keep your blood sugar a lot more level. Really important for your health. It's also just been really reassuring to know that all of the knowledge I built up for the last 15 years, during and post weight loss, is in effect and working really well. So it's very reassuring. Very fun to have that extra data, but other than those couple of problems to consider, it'd be worth checking out if any of this sounds fun for you. I have a feeling this video has been going on way too long, so I'm going to kind of rapid fire through some of my long-term items that haven't changed. First up, got the Huckberry Cruisers. These are polarized sunglasses that are under $40. Excellent quality. They look great. Definitely my favorite pair of budget sunglasses. I've still been using and enjoying my JFK Saratogas that I talked about in the last update, but these are just a little bit better for more like adventure-y things where I worried I might damage them because those other ones are really nice and really fancy. So I tend to baby them a bit more, but if you want some like good throw around type of pairs, the Huckberry Cruisers, long time favorite for me. This is the gloss Koala variant. Really great looking. I get tons of compliments on these when I wear them. Next up, I've got my hat. This is a newer hat from Seager, one of my favorite hat brands. Them and Sendero tend to make some of my favorites. They just released their new spring lineup, so they had a fresh batch of hats. Grab this one. I think the teal is a fun, nice change of pace, a little bit of pop of color for me, but really good quality hats. One of my favorites for this shape. It's deep, but it's not too deep for trucker hats. It's kind of a fine balance for me. The long-standing favorite, the Reform wallet. I've talked about this thing so many times. Still a real favorite for me. You know, it says it holds up to 9 cards. I think realistically around 3 to 6 cards is great. You have magnets to keep it closed. It kind of operates like a card holder wallet, but you're able to fold it out. So it's a bifold, but with the thinness of a card holder. Really great design. I love this refined fabric that they use. I love the magnets in here. Really nice and fun touch. I have been kind of eyeing and looking around at a Chrome XL wallet. I've been on a really big leather kick lately. I've been getting super into boots, and that'll be a little teaser for next week's video most likely, but I'd love to hear if you have any like Horween leather or Chrome XL or just really good quality leather wallet recommendations, preferably card holder wallet, something small and easy but good quality. Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear it. I want to check out a few over the next few months. For my headphones, I've got the AirPods Pro 2. I have a few other headphones in the rotation, but these are kind of my default dailies just for the ease of use. And the transparency mode is still probably the best out of any other headphones I've tried. Over it, I've got the Mezzo case from Caudabe. I really love this texture. I think the black is just a little nicer than the white. My cat also likes to knock these off the counter pretty often, so it helps give some extra protection there. A lot of people laughed at me because I don't use a phone case, but I use this, and the main reason is because of my cat. And on that note, I always tend to forget for these videos. I still have my iPhone 14 Pro Max. I never end up getting the 15. 14's been going strong for me. Battery life, I feel like leaves something to be desired, but other than that, the phone's excellent and perfect. I'll probably upgrade to the 16. I've been kind of on a 2-year cycle now for a bit, but we'll see. That thing's been great though. After the multi-year competition you all witnessed, I've still got the champion key organizer for me. This is the Jibbon. Definitely my favorite overall. It's a toolless design, so you can get keys in and out really easily. Really nice leather quality, compact, easy to use one-handed, no problem. Definitely my favorite here. Holds 3 to 9 keys. Can't recommend it enough. It's worth the few extra dollars compared to the Orbit key, which is kind of my runner-up favorite. Always got to have a handkerchief. This is the Vala Alta. They're Irish linen handkerchiefs. Linen's a little bit better than cotton in most cases. Dries quicker, it's more antimicrobial, it absorbs more. It's just really nice and feels a little more luxurious as well. I've had these for quite some time. There was talks a while back that they were going to be making a bigger version, but I haven't heard from them in like a year, so I don't know if that's still happening. That's my one complaint with these. I'd love to see like a 14-inch by 14-inch compared to 12 by 12, but other than that little nitpicky thing, they're perfect. Microfibers. Took me a long time to find some microfibers I could comfortably recommend. As a glasses wearer, I use them constantly. These are Koala cloths. I just found them on Amazon a while back. Super cheap, inexpensive, but they are really good quality for microfibers, which was a lot harder of a task than I ever could have imagined. Last up, I've got the Bellroy Sling Mini. Through the winter, I have been skipping a sling on occasion just because I have so many extra pockets with coats and things, but when I do use a sling, this has still been the default for me. I love this green color, really nice quality. You have a little hidden AirTag pocket in here. It's 4 liters. I've talked about this a bunch, so I won't dwell on it again, but really good quality with that. So that wraps it up for this season's carry update. Not a ton of changes this time around, but a few really interesting ones, or at least I think. Thank you all so much for watching, though. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear what your carry setups are looking like down below in the comments. Let's get that discussion going. But thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.